Hi friends, welcome to DP Devops Technologies. Today I will discuss about Docker interview questions and okay, where can store the Docker images in case of AUFS like var lib docker of slash of and diff id. This is contains of images and var lib docker's repository hyphen AUFS is a JSON file uh, containing local image information. This can be viewed with the command docker image. In case of device mapper, var lib docker device mapper slash device mapper slash data store the images and var lib docker device mapper and metadata stores the metadata in particular path and how to run the multiple containers at a time by using docker compose. Can run the multiple containers. And what is docker image? Docker image is a source of docker containers, or in other words, docker image are used to create a containers. Okay, what is docker container? Docker container is a running instance of docker image. Docker containers that run on docker engine. Standard Docker creates the industry standard for containers, so they could be portable anywhere. Lightweight containers share the machine like OS systems kernel, and therefore do not require an OS per application. Dividing higher servers efficiencies and reducing the servers and licensing costs. Secure applications are safer in containers, and Docker provides the strongest default isolation capabilities in the industry. How to stop and restart the Docker containers? To stop the containers, Docker stop container ID. To no To restart the Docker container, Docker restart container ID, you have to get that. And what is platforms does the Docker run on? Like Docker runs on only Linux and cloud platforms like Ubuntu, Fedora, Red Hat, CentOS, into Arch Linux, and OpenSUSE, something like Amazon EC2, Google Compute Engines, and Microsoft Azure, and Rackspace. These are the running. And what are the tools used for Docker networking? Docker networking, we are generally use Kubernetes and Docker Swarm. Okay, what does what is Docker Compose? Let's say you want to run the multiple Docker containers at that time. You have to create a Docker Compose file and type the command like docker -compose, and it will run all the containers mentioned in Docker Compose file. What is Docker Swarm? Docker Swarm is basically used to divide your complex softwares and product development task into smaller chunks, using interaction and incremental practices. Each interaction is of 2 weeks, like Scrum consists of three roles like product owner, And sorry, what is Scrum? Scrum is basically used to divide your complex softwares and product development task into smaller chunks using interaction and incremental practices. Each interactor is of 2 weeks. Scrum consists of the three roles like product owners, scrum master, and team. And how can you connect the containers to network when it starts? We need to use the following commands like docker run space hyphen I itd space inet hyphen network equal to multi something host network is busybox. What is Docker Swarm? Gathering of virtual machines with Docker engine can be grouped and kept up as it's already framework and the assistant likewise being shared by the compartments and Docker Swarm and is calendars the Docker holders in any of the machine under the bunch as indicated by asset accessibility. Docker Swarm init can be utilized to start the Docker Swarm bunch and the Docker Swarm joins with the ACE IP and from customer join the hub into the Swarm group. What is the difference between Docker image and Docker container? Docker image is read-only templates that contains the instruction for the containers to start. Docker containers is a runnable instance of Docker image. What is the application containerization? It is a process of OS level virtualization technique used to deploy the application without launching the entire VMs for each applications where the multiple isolated applications or services can access the same host on and run on the same OS. Something get a Devops 100% practice training, but to syntax to build a particular Docker image like Docker build a space hyphen f. You have to give the file name and hyphen d and image name and you have to give the version and running Docker image. Docker run hyphen dt hyphen restart equal to always hyphen b host port and container port hyphen h host name hyphen v host volume colon container volumes and image name colon version. How to log into container? Docker exec space hyphen it container id /bin /bash. What is Docker Compose? Compose is a tool for defining and running multiple containers Docker application. With Compose you use the YAML file to configure your application services. Then with the single command you can create and start all the services from your configuration. Compose and how works in all environment, production and staging and development testing as well as CA workflows. What is the Docker versions? Docker version hyphen format, and I'll get Docker versions. What are the advantages of Docker? uh, Return on investing and cost saving, and second one, standardization and productivity, and CI efficiency, and compatibility, and maintainability, and simplicity, and faster configuration, and rapid deployment, and continuous deployment and testing.